Okay, everyone. If you can hear me over my son's voice playing video games, uh, welcome back to my workbench. Oh, I'm wearing my Pac-Man shirt today. Um, so we're back with the Nomad after a slight injury. So the recommendation was to pull 5 volts directly off of either the AV. In this case, I'm pulling it off of the straight off the 5-volt regulator. The 5-volt regulator is right here. These two pins here. Well, the 5-volt regulator is this chip, and these two pins here are coming directly off of it. So I got 4.97 on that regulator there. So I hooked up pin 5 on this connector to 5 volts, and then pin number 8 to ground. So 5 is green and 8 was pin 5. Yeah, pin 5 was green and pin 8 was gray. Slightly annoying colors, but what we're going to try now is get back to tapping into this chip here. This chip here is the joystick, the joypad controller chip. I already pulled up pin number 24, which is the VCC for that pin. For some reason, it doesn't seem to affect the onboard functions when you pull up that pin, so there's no continuity there. And I'm gonna just hook up for now maybe just pin 1, pin 2, and maybe 7, which is the select. So 1 is brown. So with any kind of luck, I can at least get up and down working to see if that's the key. And then I think let's hook up 3 wires now. It'll be just up, down, and the selector, which tells the system if it's a 6-button controller plugged into it, or 3-button also tells it it's a multiplexer line. So let me strip this back a little bit. Don't need much. Wow, he talks a lot. Okay. Pin 7 should be violet. Nope. Yeah, violet. Violet. We'll start with those and then try out my authentic Sega controller with it. I might need to grab my microscope. I hate to admit it, but my eyes are getting a touch old. I am 46, so I guess it's due. Man, turn 47 next year, if we make it. Who knows? No promises. Okay. There we are. Let's come in on pin 1 is the 4th over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. IO1. I'll tin those up real quick. Make it easier to work with. I've got my tiny little tip iron. Let's see. Get in focus. It's got kind of a little bit of a bent tip to it. Put it in front of a white surface here. See, it's got a little bent tip. It's actually really handy for doing this solder work on these little guys. Okay. Good. CPU is only sitting at 65%. So I have this new, to me, iMac from 2009. It seems to be doing okay so far. I installed Ubuntu 2004.1 on there already. Because I wanted an operating system that's like still, that's very current, not something from several years ago. I wasn't planning on running the Mac OS on there anyway. It's still on there, but it's got a nice hard drive, so it's a dual boot right now. Let's see. Let's get in here. At first, I thought my son had ADHD, but he's actually on the spectrum. So, tends to talk a bit. I didn't diagnose him till like a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. So I could see how people can go in their all the way in their adult lives without knowing they have being on the spectrum. Who knows? Maybe I'm on the spectrum. Though I hit all my milestones and stuff and haven't any problems. Okay, that's that one. And then, but I always have a hard time looking people in the eye. So who knows? It hasn't really affected my life that much. Come on, you can melt. There we go. He really likes talking to his online friends, though. Okay, that's on pin number 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up from the end for the select line. Yeah, the neat thing is they made it so these joypads are mostly backwardly compatible, because you can put like a Sega Genesis 6-button pad into a Atari 2600 and it'll work, because those, when it's looking for a line that's not usually connected, which is line 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's looking for that line. If that line's not being held high or low, I can't remember which one it is, then the chip just emulates a regular 4-button. Oh, I'm hitting the wires here. Where am I? Here we are. He's playing Sea of Thieves. He really likes that game. Looks like okay, I guess. Let's see what happens here. That's out of focus. Authentic controller. So the start button's not hooked up yet, so I gotta hit that manually. Oh no, it goes to this one. Okay, it goes over here. Worst comes to worst, I can also measure it because it's all exposed right now. Alright. Authentic controller, check. Power. And, oh, where's the pads? Here's the carbon pads. just wanted to go into the select screen. Went down. It went up. It goes down. It goes up. Oh, hallelujah. Okay. So now it's just a matter of hooking up the other wires. So I got 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 6, and 9 to be hooked up. So only 4 more wires. Wow. So long story short, there's actually 2 or 3 problems. The first one was the 5-volt line needs to be pulled from right off the regulator or off the AV section, because there's just not enough oomph on that pin that usually fires up that chip to fire it up. So not enough current there. So that was problem 1. Problem 2 is I think the ground I was using wasn't properly referenced. So I tried pulling off of pin 13 originally, but if you measure between 13 and 24, you only get like 3.2 volts. So this line isn't a true ground. It floats higher. I think 12 would be the correct one, but in this case I went and did way over here, right next to the 5-volt regulator's cap that comes right off. There was a filter caps right off the end of it, so coming right off of there. So good news, Clint. Looks like I might actually be able to finish this soon. And once I get this guy done, the great news is I can finish off that CDX, because all the CDX does is, I got the laser working on the CDX. I just need to get in there and adjust those pots. And I want to mark them first and then adjust those pots. So I'm going to go in, do some soldering, and hopefully next video this will be ready and working. Yeah. And not have to worry about it. So this was very challenging, but I see now mistakes were made, people will be blamed, and let me get back to soldering. Everyone, thank you for watching, and maybe I'll have an update tonight, or worst case tomorrow. Yeah, and tomorrow I'll have the joystick all wired up, and then over the weekend I'll get I still haven't gotten around to carving out those battery packs, but those don't take that long to do, and working on the CDX, of course. Just adjusting it. And it looks like you more or less put an audio CD in there, and you adjust it. There's like 5 different pots on there you can adjust, and go through and adjust that, because with the lasers, ironically I work for an optical company, the depth of the way their lenses are, the depth of field is like super. I mean, they use like f.8 lenses, so if you know anything about cameras, the depth of field is like in microns. It's a very tiny depth of field, so you have to adjust the laser to adjust the beam width on it so it picks up, because you're trying to focus on just that silver layer on there. Kind of neat how CDs work, actually, or DVDs or Blu-rays. It's all the same principle. There's a layer, and the neat thing is when you do like a dual layer, it literally is 2 layers of material, and you've changed the focal length from one plane to another plane. It's kind of neat, actually, how it works. But anywho, I'll go through and start adjusting that once this is done, and I'm gonna get back to soldering right now. I'm sure people don't want to stare at the back of my head for next 10 minutes as I solder this up. But good luck. I could sleep well tonight knowing that I actually got this working. So if I got up down working, I'm sure left to right's going to work. And there's just a couple buttons after that. It's because standard controller, 1, 2, up down, 3, 4, left, right. 7 is the selector, and then 6 and 9 are B and C by default. And then the selector tells okay, so if you're hitting A, you're actually hitting, I think it's like up and select held low, There's a whole logic behind it. This chip actually has a lot of logic internally. It has, I think, 4 multiplexers, if I remember, at least 3 multiplexers in it. So that's how you get that many buttons off only 9 wires. All right, enough babbling. Back to work. Thanks for watching, everyone.